First-time listeners and returners to the Sports Deli, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. What about fucking Colin? Why does he not have a fucking job? Because he's still being whiteballed. Why is Tom not speaking out about that? He should be his biggest fucking ally. And he hasn't said one fucking thing. A lot of people that have come on this show, I don't know why, they've gotten some good fucking jobs afterwards. Jim Rome in the jungle. It's right here in the Sports Deli, baby. We got some good ass karma right here. Let's fucking go.
I love it.
Man.
I love it.
We hope you enjoy today's show.
Hey everyone, Hootie Hoot, host and producer of the Sports Deli podcast. I'm going to get right into it. This is a special edition dedicated to Saturday Night Live and my reaction to Dave Chappelle's monologue. And there's three items that I take issue with. And, I have watched a lot of comedians over the years, whether it's been Richard Pryor, who's not my favorite, Eddie Murphy, who was my favorite, and comedy has changed. And maybe you don't feel the same way. Maybe anything goes with you. But I've seen a shift. And I wouldn't say I'm a connoisseur of comedy. But I've watched enough comedy to know that listening to interviews from comedians and reading about it and just knowing the culture that we live in now with social media and seeing a shift with regards to people of color, with certain communities, with the LGBTQIA plus community, comedy has changed. And comedians will tell you that they have to watch what they say, or they could very well be canceled. So, some things will always be okay with regards to certain cultures, I think. And, I think back to Eddie Murphy and some of the things he did in Delirious. Man, I could watch that now, and I probably should to see what my reactions would be to some of the content. Some of it was just pretty benign stuff, talking about people that were poor or old television shows, the honeymooners, or him imitating a McDonald's in Asia. Um, I don't know if the Asian community finds offense to that. If they do, then I would completely understand why. Similar to the ways that I found three of the things in his monologue from Saturday Night Live a little bit distasteful and made me uncomfortable. And I'll tell you which one made me the most uncomfortable at the end. First one, and I am purposely wearing a Black Lives Matter hat and a Stronger Than Hate t-shirt that is representative of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this was from a couple years ago when the synagogue in Pittsburgh was attacked. And this was a shirt that was made regarding that. But I felt like it was applicable considering what's been going on with Kanye West and Kyrie Irving recently. And then obviously with the midterm elections and Dave Chappelle commenting on a lot of these things in his monologue. And a lot of it was funny. The comment about Adidas was funny, hilarious. And, it's interesting. My aunt called to talk to me about this when we were driving home the other night. Not Saturday Night Live specifically, but just the whole thing with regards to the Anti-Defamation League and Kyrie. And then she texted me, did you see the Saturday Night Live skit? And I hadn't watched it yet. And then I watched it, and then I texted her back. And I initially told her that I took offense to one of the three things that I'm going to talk about, but I didn't know that there was another part of it because it was clipped. And so when I watched the whole 15 minutes, there were three things. And so I understand nuance a little bit, right? I'm on social media. Not only was I integrated, which is sort of irrelevant, but it just tells you that I've made it a point to try and pay attention to nuance, whether it's the black and brown community or the Latina community. Um, People of Middle Eastern descent. I was uh, raised in a community that had a large Jewish contingency, but there was also people that were of Chaldean descent, and people that, I don't know if this is the correct term politically, so forgive me if this is offensive, but people that were Arabs, people of Middle Eastern descent, but there's a distinction. Chaldeans are Roman Catholics, from what I understand, and people that are Arabic are Muslim for the most part. So I was around a lot of different cultures, like a melting pot, the high school that I went to. And so, like there's terms now that, I didn't always know, but I familiarize myself with these terms because, I want to have an understanding if I'm listening to a specific type of song from a specific culture, what's trending. I have a 12-year-old daughter. There's a lot of reasons. I think it's just important as a white, older Jewish male, trying to be more anti-racist every day, trying to be a bridge, trying to be more conscious and deliberate, trying to be an unapologetic ally. I think I have a responsibility, and I mean, everybody does, I think, but not everyone puts in the kind of time that some of us do to understand nuance. Whether you're saying someone's capping. You guys know what capping means? It means you're lying, right? No cap. Someone says no cap, like for real. That means that you're telling the truth. Or if, an act of doxing is going on. Like doxing, I didn't know about. I heard it on Clubhouse. I'm like, the hell's doxing? So I looked up in Urban Dictionary, and it's the act of revealing a person's personal information. Whether it's their real name, if they're going by a pseudonym or a stage name, or like where they live. And people have different reasons why they dox somebody. So, anyways, I think it's important that we just listen and learn and try and have a greater understanding of different walks of life and nuance. And so there's two types of uncomfortable, I think. One, you don't know anything about something and you're like, ooh, that was uncomfortable. Or you know something about something, you're still uncomfortable. And so the first thing that I found uncomfortable, not necessarily in this order or the order that he talked about it, was his commentary about Herschel Walker. Now, truth be told, I'm not a proponent of Herschel Walker, but there is still this false narrative that black people are stupid or they're angry, especially black women. And so we have to dispel these types of things. This is what the shirt looks like for those of you that are watching on YouTube. It has a Star of David in the gold color, and then it has the other two parts of the Pittsburgh Steelers, red and blue colors in the same formation as the Steelers' normal shirt, and it says "Stronger Than Hate" in the middle, to the side of the logo. Anyways, as I was saying, with regards to Herschel Walker, he made a comment, and you'll hear it here in a second. And I just feel like this is one of those areas, and he's black. Dave Chappelle's black, and he can talk about the black community just like I can talk about the Jewish community. But all right, so let's take a listen to this first clip regarding Herschel Walker.
The most ominous sign of the midterms, I believe, would be Herschel Walker, who I don't want to speak badly of because he's black, but I have to admit, he's observably stupid. Even when he's not talking, his mouth be open a little bit like. He's the kind of guy that looks like he thinks before he makes a move on tic-tac-toe.
He could have tied it in that maybe he had CTE, or maybe he has CTE. Who knows? Maybe he could have said something about the fact that, there was a lack of understanding about certain subjects. Or he was too influenced by the 45th president and made a joke about that. But I just felt like basically saying that this black man running for office is an idiot. However you see him, I just think stereotypically it was in bad taste. So that's the first one. The
The
second point where he was talking about Kanye, and you'll hear that in a second, and he used the N word, the N word with the A at the end of it, and then right? And so I used to use that word when I was in high school. People said it to me, I said it to them. Nobody cared. I wouldn't do it now. I was young. I didn't think there was anything of it. It was just, it was like a sort of a thing of endearment. I was accepted, as the white shadow. I was the only white guy on the basketball team in high school. And as far as I know, according to the former high school coach at Oak Park High School, Howard Golding, who was on my show, a Hall of Famer from the state of Michigan as a high school coach, said he doesn't believe there's been any white players on varsity since I played in 1987 and graduated in 1987. So, anyways, the point is that that was something that was part of my vernacular back then, and no one ever called me on it. No one ever said, "What? Would you just call me?" Like literally the entire time I was at Oak Park High School. Um, and so, my best friend Rick and I had this conversation a couple years ago, after George Floyd, and he's like, I don't use it anymore. He told me the reasons why. He works around a lot of people of color. His wife's black and Hispanic, and um, he just said he doesn't use it anymore, even behind closed doors. And it took me some time to actually think about it. And then and that's what you want to see, just like a good movie, right? You want to see evolution. And I want to continue to evolve and listen and learn, whether it's my best friend Rick, or whether it's an athlete, or whether somebody feels offended in the Jewish community, whether the black and brown community are offended. I think we should respect people individually or a group of people for whatever reason. If they feel offended, and we say we're sorry if we said something or did something that was offensive. Like, why wouldn't you just apologize? And so it leads me to the second point, as I was saying earlier, is that he used the N word. All right, now let's listen to this clip about the N word.
This guy lost $1.5 billion in a day. $1.5 billion in a day. I saw that. I said, put your chain on, nigga. Welcome back.
I understand why some people might find it funny, but I wouldn't go around necessarily calling my people kikes. Because he was talking about how Kanye was a billionaire, and then within 24 hours he was only a millionaire, and how billionaires don't show their jewelry, they hide it because they're billionaires. Millionaires show their jewelry, and because he went from being a billionaire to a millionaire, he pulled his chain out and, basically welcome back, and my Nigga, and, so I get it, and maybe 2 years ago, I might have laughed because I sort of understand the humor, but I just feel like the 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 history of the N-word is so grotesque and hateful, and what it symbolized, even if the word has evolved and people are always going to use the Nigga word. And I understand. But I just think that someone like Dave Chappelle should rethink whether or not he's going to use that word ever again. So I thought that was in bad taste personally. And I think Dave Chappelle's brilliant. I think he's been candid about his mental health, and I think he's a brilliant comedian. And the last piece that Dave Chappelle was talking about was the Holocaust. And he said at one point when he was referring to Kyrie Irving, and part of it was funny. He said, Kyrie Irving's in trouble because of Kanye. And the way that he said it and the timing of it, I'm not going to do it justice whatsoever, but it was hilarious. But then basically at the end of that piece, he said that he didn't know if Kyrie even believed if the Holocaust existed. And here's the clip about the Holocaust.
Kyrie Irving's black ass was nowhere near the Holocaust. In fact, he's not even certain it existed.
And that was cringe. That was really cringe. And part of that has to do with, if you know the progression of what happened with Kyrie and his tweet and his reference to Hebrews, to Negroes, that has a ton of misinformation in it. And again, it's nuanced, part of it. What Kyrie was looking for in that documentary, he didn't comment on it. He didn't say, I approve of it. He didn't disprove it either. And that was part of the problem, just like you would put a warning label on a CD from the old days that said explicit lyrics. He didn't say, look, I denounce all this. I'm just trying to find out a little bit more about where I came from. But there's a lot of things in here that are deplorable. You know, there's a lot of things in life that are deplorable. We do business with China. The NBA does business with China, even though there's human rights violations going on all over the place. You know, so we could go on and on about that kind of thing. So I just thought those three things were in bad taste. So I thought the comments about Herschel Walker and the N-word are not in my lane. So if he wants to comment about another black man being stupid in his eyes, or he came across as stupid, or dumb, or being an idiot, or whatever, I just think it perpetuates, especially white people, seeing people in the black and brown community as stupid. And it couldn't be further from the truth. So I didn't agree with the way that he approached that. The N-word, I just think it's history to how people in the white community continue to oftentimes view people of color in the black and brown community. I don't think that helps anything at all, because the proof is in the pudding. We can see how so many white people still are racist and don't understand nuance, and it contributes to the false narrative. Not to mention all the unequal policies that are still codified in law that need to be changed. And we'll save that for another day again. And then the worst to me, because I'm Jewish, was the Holocaust reference that he made when Kyrie basically didn't denounce the part of the documentary that claimed that the Holocaust never existed. And he should have, right from the beginning. And so I've posted about why I think Kyrie might be acting the way that he does, from generational trauma to him being a lost soul, to him wishing that he was similar to Steph Curry. But Steph Curry has done all the things that Kyrie wishes he could do, even though Kyrie is a phenomenal human being. Look at all the donations that he's made and all the organizations that he's a part of, and I commented that on the last podcast that I did. So anyways, I just wanted to come and follow up with a couple of things with regards to what's been going on lately, but in particular Saturday Night Live and Dave Chappelle. You can always disagree, but just do it in a respectful way. I welcome the feedback about anything that I talked about today or at any other point in time when I'm doing any of my podcasts. And I appreciate you tuning in. This was a special edition and not quite as long as some of the other ones, but maybe you appreciated the fact that it was shorter. And thanks for tuning in. And look forward to seeing you all here next time. Much love, everybody. Love is stronger than hate. Black Lives Matter. Peace.
Boy, that was phenomenal. Great job and much love to everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. Remember, Black Lives Matter. Stop the bullying. Stop the Asian hate. Contact your local and state politicians for any inequalities, for any individual or any group that's being marginalized. Also, everyone, we want to raise awareness for those individuals that are currently imprisoned for non-violent offenses, in particular those with long-term sentences that are disproportionate, in particular to those people in the black and brown community. And I want to send a shout out to 40tons.co. 40 Tons is a socially conscious cannabis brand, and they're a social enterprise using the regulated cannabis industry to fight injustice, in particular for cannabis prisoners. So check them out again at 40, the number 4, the number 0, tons, plural, 40tons.co, because what they're doing in the cannabis space and being a socially conscious company is truly incredible, and they have my full support. And also wanted to remind all of you, if you're having a tough time, you can always call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and that number is 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. And now you can call 988. That's it. All you got to do is dial 988 from any phone. And they are available 24/7, 365 days. And if you want to follow me on social media or check out other episodes of this amazing Sports Deli podcast or any of my other podcasts, go to my link tree at linktree/Mike Hootner. And if you'd like to support us at the Sports Deli, we'd love to have you either make a one-time donation or feel free to make a donation monthly, either 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. If you have questions about that, send me an email again to thesportsdeli@gmail.com, and I will send you the link on how you can do that. You can also find it at the bottom of every podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Link at the bottom to support the show. Please check out our website at thesportsdelipodcast.com. Make sure that we continue the conversations with regards to 3 strikes and you're out and mandatory minimums, especially people that are in jail for nonviolent offenses. So those things need to change. And remember, gents and ladies, please remember to do your monthly self-breast examinations. And remember, guys, this afflicts about 1,500 men annually, with about a third of those resulting in death. So we want to make sure that we do our monthly self-breast examinations, both men and women. And guys, remember to do your self-testicular examinations every month as well. Until next time, remember, it takes a village. I'm Hootie Hoot. This has been a production of Hootie Hoot Productions. Thank you for joining us in the Sports Deli, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. Remember, it takes a village. Much love, everybody.